selfless devotion to your country. And he has been a phenomenal president. He ended the presidency of Donald Trump at one disastrous term. And he did it while being decent and civil and honorable.
In this video, Ana Kasparian of the Young Turks reports on the mainstream media, their lies, and their lack of accountability. Specifically, Ana Kasparian goes in on Rachel Maddow of MSNBC for being tone deaf, among a litany of other things. With that, let's watch Ana Kasparian wreck dishonest propagandist Rachel Maddow, who's apparently worth $30 million a year for one show a week.
Joe Biden.
A backup plan.
If he needed to be replaced on the ticket. If we're 3 months out and Trump's still beating him in Michigan, Pennsylvania, Georgia, Arizona, North Carolina.
I mean, I think the backup plan is run a better campaign. Biden hasn't been disqualified from running for the presidency by anything having to do with any of his performance. It's just that it's going to be a tough fight.
Yeah.
And so I think the backup plan is fight harder. Yeah. The backup plan is make sure you win the Senate. The backup plan is people should volunteer earlier and do more and give more money and do all of those things.
That was MSNBC host Rachel Maddow back in June of 2024. And keep that in mind when you consider that Semaphore spoke to key media figures across digital, print, and legacy media, Republicans and Democrats, to discuss the things that they got wrong in 2024. And judging by that video you just watched, Rachel Maddow did get some things wrong. The question is, did she learn a damn thing about it? Well, rather than citing her real mistakes and terrible predictions, she actually ended up blaming her audience. So here's her statement to Semaphore. She said, "I thought people would be more unnerved by JD Vance, less the cat lady thing and more the Americans are going to have to get over the dictator phobia Mencius Moldbug thing." Now, if you're unfamiliar with Mencius Moldbug, that's a pseudonym for Curtis Yarvin, who Vance has followed for years. And Curtis Yarvin is someone who's against liberal democracy and is in favor of a monarchy, though he seems to have a tough time defending that position. Cenk Uygur actually interviewed him about it, and it was embarrassing if you ask me. But on October...
I'll tell you what's embarrassing. What's embarrassing is you're asked, what did you get wrong this year? And Rachel Maddow mentions some obscure thing about Mencius Moldbug and Curtis Yarvin, who apparently is in favor of a monarchy over democracy, and the fact that I guess JD Vance follows him on social media or something. Are you kidding me? All the things you got wrong. I mean, just in that little clip alone, she's suggesting there's no reason to have a backup for Joe Biden. So she's sitting there lying to you, telling you that he's cognitively fine. Someone needs to call these people out besides me. I mean, that is bananas. You don't need a backup plan for Joe Biden. So all it is campaign harder and, of course, raise more money. I can't stand Rachel Maddow. I think she's evil. And like I said at the beginning, a pure propagandist. But at least pretend to have some humility or some self-awareness. Seriously, pretend, even if you don't. Maybe if you're like narcissistic, or I don't know what the psychological diagnosis is, but you're unable to view yourself that way. But good Lord. Anyway, it gets better. Let's get back to the video.
First, Gallup released the following poll comparing voter ratings between Tim Walz, who was the VP pick for Kamala Harris, and JD Vance. And yeah, I mean, she is right that people didn't seem to fear JD Vance as much as she was hoping for. So at that point in time, in October of 2024, less than half of registered voters nationally had a positive view of Tim Walz or JD Vance. A combined 46% rate Walz as either an excellent or pretty good choice versus 41% for JD Vance. And despite Walz's slight lead on this measure, the two were equally likely to be rated as poor choices. Just under 4 in 10 voters see each as such. So she is right that people didn't buy into the fear-mongering about JD Vance as much as she hoped for, but to kind of pivot to what she believes her audience got wrong, or the Democratic voters got wrong, or voters in general got wrong, instead of taking ownership of the things she got wrong, is kind of amazing. But what do you think, Jake?
Yeah, so I mean, look, even that quote is telling, because it's indecipherable to the average person. Get over dictatorphobia, Mencius Moblug thing. What are you talking about? So look, I interviewed Curtis Yarderman, as Anna pointed out, so I know what she's talking about. The average person doesn't, and nobody knows about Curtis Yarwood. And yeah, he's comical and ridiculous, and that's why I'm worried about JD Vance and Donald Trump, and that's why I voted against them. But the average guy doesn't know that Curtis Yarwood is in favor of a monarchy, which is actually a dictatorship, which is what JD Vance was. The fact that JD Vance is in favor of that is problematic, etc. So one out of.
So let's clear something up. Cenk, I want to give you credit, because everything you said about her stupid take, and I should have mentioned it before, is correct. I mean, that if she honestly believed what she said, that she thought that Mencius Moldbug was the thing that was really going to stop people from voting for Donald Trump and JD Vance, that is, I mean, I talk about it all the time. These liberal hosts are out of touch, but that's beyond out of touch. That's like, are you on a different planet? What are you talking about? I also wanted to mention, I do a lot of these videos, and I follow politics, probably closer than the average person. And I've never heard of Curtis Yarvin or Mencius Moldbug. So clearly, maybe this was a narrative she was pushing on her show, and she thought it would really bother voters. But yeah, either I guess Anna or Cenk said it right. Essentially, she's saying, yeah, gosh, I mean, the translation of her statement is, gosh, I thought my propaganda around the Mencius Moldbug thing would have really changed voters' minds. What an insane person. Oh, what I wanted to correct Cenk about, so dumb. The fact that he even rides with her stupid narrative about this Curtis Yarvin. So JD Vance, from all I'm hearing, all I'm knowing about is what I'm hearing from this, is he follows this guy on social media. One time, I don't even know how long ago, like tongue in cheek, JD Vance said, I think we should have a king over in the United States. Literally, completely just a throwaway, silly joke statement. No one took it seriously. So for Cenk to say that JD Vance is in favor of a monarchy, and he's essentially agreeing that it is a big deal, like with Rachel Maddow, that's one of the reasons you thought him and Donald Trump are going to be dictators? Really? Because he joked one time that we should have a king in the United States, and and he follows a guy that's clearly weird or whatever on some social media that thinks there should be a monarchy. What are you talking about, man? It's like Cenk's like last gasp effort to be like, I mean, I'm going to try to partner with the right, but I told you these guys are bad. He wants to have it both ways. So if he's thinking if Trump's presidency goes terribly, then I can say, look, I told you he was going to be terrible. But then if Trump does well, he can say, well, I don't like Trump, but the rest of the Republicans are doing good. Like 100%, he's thinking strategically by saying that. Because everything else he said was right about how tone deaf, stupid Rachel Maddow is. Anyway, I'll get back to the video.
Touch with what actual human beings are going through. They're worried about gas prices and food prices. They're not worried about Mencius Moldbug, who they've never heard of. And secondly, and even more importantly, she's saying, damn it, the fear mongering didn't work.
Yeah, totally. That's exactly right. I mean, it's amazing that, look, I'm always amazed at the, I guess, allergic reaction to any self-reflection at all. It's okay to admit that you got things wrong. It's actually admirable when people admit, especially people in media who are supposed to be, sharing accurate information. It's okay to say, look, I got that wrong. In fact, we're going to give you examples of people who actually did take ownership, and I give them a lot of credit for that. It builds credibility when you're willing to admit when you've gotten something wrong. And by the way, Remember, this is what she
If you like watching videos like this one, like and subscribe. We'd really appreciate it. Let's get back to the video.
said when Joe Biden ultimately ended up dropping out of the presidential race.
Just thinking about the president right now, what a man, what a patriot. What an act of selfless devotion to your country. And he has been a phenomenal president. He ended the presidency of Donald Trump at one disastrous term. And he did it while being decent and civil and honorable and normal and occasionally boring at a time when boring was absolutely what we needed. And I just, his career of decades in public service as a senator and as a very successful vice president and as a phenomenally successful president, there is no single thing that he has done in that entire career that is a greater or more consequential act of service and sacrifice to this country.
Girl, the American public were getting boring every night with your MSNBC show. What are you talking about? What are you talking about? Go outside and talk to real people. She is so out of touch with ordinary people. It is amazing.
Yeah. So
according to Rachel Maddow, Joe Biden's best act of service to the United States in his long, storied career that she described is him quitting. That's his best. She doesn't realize what an insult that is to Joe Biden. Oh my God. She said, what a man, what a patriot, a phenomenal president. He ended Trump's presidency at one disastrous term. First of all, liberals love to say disastrous term, but don't offer examples. That's very common. But what she didn't mention was Biden's one disastrous term that got Donald Trump reelected. Oh my God. I don't cover her much on here. I cannot stand her, man. But we want to hear from you. What do you all think about what Ana Kasparian is saying about Rachel Maddow? And what do you think overall about the media and their lack of accountability? And as always, what did I miss? Or where did I get it wrong? Because it's always just my opinion. Let us know. Anyway, that's it for this video. As always, we really appreciate you watching, and we will see you on the next one.